Battlefall's State of Conflict is an RTS that gives off a lot of old school vibes. Not only that, it's fast, simple, and quick to get into. I love that in this game, I don't have to spend my time micromanaging resources. When collectors spawn in, they search for the nearest node to harvest and they just keep going. All I have to do is build them closer depots every once in a while. There's also this really cool special resource you collect during matches over time that can be used to purchase one-time use upgrades on a small selection of units, giving them movement speed, more range and damage, or healing them, as well as a few others. My favorite is definitely flying in extra resources. It's not always effective, but boy is it satisfying to look at. Where I found Battlefall's State of Conflict's general gameplay to vary from other RTS games is that it doesn't matter how many extra structures I place. I could only build units out of one of them, and it was always at a fixed rate. But I did get to choose which one was the primary building they spawned from. I feel this makes it a lot less complicated for newer players trying to get into the game, but it also comes with a large variety of unit types, so there's still that level of complexity for the more advanced players. Plus, switching primary buildings can give different strategic advantages. I only got to play as the EFNET and Scrappers because the third robot faction wasn't available to play yet, and even with just those two, I was caught off guard with how different the units and playstyles feel. EFNET feels more like military with a hint of Space Marines, and in general is the faction that I preferred to use with their tanks and helicopters, but some of my favorite battles came from the Scrapper faction that felt more like a cross between Psychos from Borderlands and the War Boys from Mad Max. My favorite unit of theirs is the Digger that plops down into the ground for a huge boost in its defense. They are a lot of fun to send into the enemy's camp early on. Currently, the biggest downfall for me was the campaign. In its first mission, we're rescuing some prisoners and dealing with the chaotic Scrapper faction, and I really like the world, this post-apocalyptic setting. But I would have loved to have had characters to latch onto in the campaign. Even just a little icon with a face and name that pops up whenever I'm receiving objectives, so that it feels like that's the person that's giving me the location of where the captives are held, and that's the person feeding me enemy base locations, so that I can feel like I've got this main sidekick that I'm working with and for throughout part of the campaign's narrative, instead of it just showing me the locations on the map and some text of where I need to go. I do like the briefs, though, at the start of each mission. It gives me just the right amount of information so that I know what's going on, and it doesn't drag on too long like some other RTS games can do with their text. I'll definitely be coming back to this because most of all, I would love to try this out with a group of friends on a voice call, just messing around against the hardest difficulty AI, seeing how many bots we can survive against at a time. And to me, that sounds like a fun evening.